Hello and welcome to this Affinity Photo tutorial, and this is Beginner's Guide Part 9A. Now this is because in Beginner's Guide Part 9 I looked at altering the look of the interface and layout of Affinity Photo to suit your needs, but I did forget to mention that you can save that look, because this is the video for part 9, and as you can see, John Collins has put down here, it is better, Carl, to make a studio preset for the various types of photos you are editing. I have landscape, nature, general, holiday, families, etc. And I just put there, I forgot to mention it, so I'm going to rectify that mistake by making this sort of add-on to this. Now, me personally, I wouldn't make sort of ones for landscape and ones for nature. I would make them all sort of basically come under the photo genre, but that's the whole point of having presets, is you do it to suit how you work. John likes to work in this way, and I would just work in a more basic way, but that is the whole point. So if I go back to Affinity Photo, now this is, as best as I can remember, the sort of default setting of Affinity Photo as it comes out of the box, for want of a better phrase, but how you download it. And I have saved this, and you can do this from the View menu, and where you would normally have Studio, and you can sort of add different studio options from here. The option below that is Studio Presets, and I have saved this as my default. So if I click on that, it will bring this back to the default settings. So if I wanted to make a tutorial that was set at the default settings, I can use this. Now for my personal photography needs, I like to have two extra icons down the bottom here, and which is the high pass filter and the dehaze filter, and I did explain in the part 9 and other earlier parts about how you can add these filters. But I can just come up to View, Studio Presets, and I've called this New Default, and when I click on that, it will bring everything back, and it will put those two options down there. So that's just two ways of doing this. Now if, say for example, I want to sort of add or use macros, you would need like the macro and the library tabs open, and this opening of studio tabs, it can be a bit long-winded, and if you're going to do this every time you're going to make and edit a photograph, it can extend the amount of time you're doing this. So if you do this just once and then make a preset of it, you are saving yourself time in future. So I'm going to open the library and the macro, and you just come up to the View menu, down to Studio, and select the ones that you want. So I now have the macro and library tabs open, and now if I save this now, so if I go to View, Studio Presets and add a preset, it will ask for a name. So I'm going to call this Default with Macros, and click OK. And so if I then come back to Studio Presets and I go to my default, it will sort of get rid of those tabs that I had opened, and then if I want to use a macro, I can just come to Studio Preset, Default with Macros, and that will automatically open both those tabs. So as you can see, that is a much quicker way, just doing that the once, adding the macros as a studio, sort of extra studio option, but you don't necessarily want it there all the time. So once you've made your macros and you've used them, you can go back to your default settings and just close them just as quickly, rather than having to keep going up to view, studio and what have you. So for example, another example I could use with this is using the sort of text options. So we have the character tab, view, studio, the glyph browser, and what is the other one? There's at least one more, paragraph, there we go. And just double check history, info, links, macros, media. Text styles. So which one's the longest? That's the longest one open. So I could sort of dock this over here, wait till I get that blue line and let go of the mouse. So that is docked over there. So I could now save this as a preset, studio preset, preset. So I'm going to call this default with text options, and click OK, and then I can sort of come back to my default, and that's closed. And then if I'm going to be adding any text, I can just quickly come in here and default with text options, and then I have all my text options available. And then once I've finished with my text, just go back to my default and carry on editing whatever way I want to go. So however you alter the look of your layout of Affinity Photo, save it as a preset, give it a name that you will recognize and know what exactly that layout is. You know, be it like John done with like landscape, I'm guessing he's called one, and portrait he may have another one, whereas I've gone with just using macros or just using text options, but make it a name that you will know what it is from the get-go. And then you can just keep coming back to the default option like I'm going to do. So I've just got the two extras that I want, and I will do the majority of my editing just with this basic setup. But if I want macros or if I want text, I will just quickly go up there and open up those presets without having to keep going up to the view menu and loading them all in one at a time. So basically that is what I forgot to mention at the end of part 9. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.